enough, frankly. So there's something going on. And I always say 2016, I don't know if there'll ever be another 2016, but right now it's like a great tree or a great plant. You plant it and it has to take hold. We have to win 2020. We're doing so well. We have to win 2020. And every day, and you know as well as I do, we're battling against the corrupt establishment of the past, and we're achieving historic victories for the American people. We're winning again, and we're winning big. We're winning big. Crucially for your state, we have ended the last administration's war on American energy. And since my election, natural gas production, big story today, in New Mexico has increased by 40%, 40. And that means great wages, and it means jobs, and that's why you're breaking every single record in your state's book. Crude oil production in New Mexico has more than doubled and going up a lot higher very quickly. And your state's energy revenues are up by nearly 2/3. Think of that, 2/3. And that's in a short period of time. Give me a little bit more time, okay? Which is what we have. The United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas anywhere in the world. And this means more jobs, higher wages, and American energy independence, which is what we have. But a few years ago, they would have been in a panic. Today, we got a lot of oil, we got a lot of gas. Got a lot of oil and gas. We don't have to send too many boats over there. You notice the other day they were saying, we don't see too many American ships anymore. You know why? Because we're independent as we want, and we are now a net exporter of energy. Revenues from energy production provide up to 25% of your state's budget and going much higher in the very near future. And they've generated nearly $1 billion budget surplus in New Mexico. Thank you very much, President Trump. Thank you. Now, under the Green New Deal, that all goes away. That all goes away. It all goes away. You can forget it. No more cows, no more airplanes, no more trips. A single car, make it electric, single car. You're not allowed to travel more than 162 miles. They'll call us the Hermit Nation. We'll never leave our house. No, it's crazy, but that's okay. I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to do it too early. Maybe they'll change. I don't want them to change. But think of it for you and for Texas and for so many other places. They want to get rid of your energy. I mean, explain that one. Explain that. Yet every major Democrat running for president, they want to abolish all production of oil and natural gas. In other words, the Democrats want to completely annihilate New Mexico's economy. The Democrats want us to be subservient to foreign producers. They want us to be at the mercy of rogue regimes. That's not happening anymore. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. It's not happening anymore. But Democrats will never get the chance because New Mexico will never give them that chance. Under this administration, America is working again. America is winning again. And America is respected again, like it hasn't been for a long time. And I can tell you because I meet so many of the leaders and their presidents and their kings and their queens and their prime ministers and their everything, dictators every once in a while. Every once in a while you get a rogue dictator. And I'll tell you, they always start off. Today I had the Crown Prince of Bahrain. And they come in and they say, "Sir, I'd like to congratulate you on what you've done with the economy of the United States. It's a model for the entire world." They all say it. And earlier today, do we have any baseball fans, right? Right? You know what I'm going to say. But earlier today in the White House, I had the honor of awarding the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest civilian award to someone who truly embodies the American dream. Baseball legend, the greatest, by the way, the greatest relief pitcher of all time. You look at those records. Mariano Rivera. He was something. The Yankees won a lot of World Series because of Mariano. Great guy. We gave him the medal, done so much for charity. A fantastic man, fantastic family. It was a beautiful day at the White House, so it was good. My administration is fighting to empower all Americans to reach their dreams and achieve their potential. We have created 6 million new jobs since Election Day. The fake news would never have allowed us to say that during the campaign, even as a projection. Unemployment recently reached its lowest rate in over 50 years. More than 7 million Americans have been lifted off of food stamps. Nearly 600,000 Americans came into the labor force last month alone. Think of that. Wages in your state, New Mexico, are growing at a rate of much more than 3% a year, which is unheard of. 20 years ago, and I used to say during the campaign, you go back, it's hard to believe, I'm here almost 3 years. Can you believe how time is flying? Can you believe it? I don't know about me, but you look all much better than you did 3 years ago. Right? You're wealthier. And even with the Me Too movement, we can't say this, but I'll say it anyway, you're better looking. Including the men. Including the men. Now you're all looking good. Since my election, the number of new business applications for New Mexico has increased by almost 30%, more than any state in the United States. Think of that. More than any state in the United States. So, essentially, that's saying you're in a certain category, which is a very important category. You're doing better than any state in the United States. How do I lose New Mexico? Explain that one, right? How do we lose that one? Now, and yet, for whatever reason, it's been quite a while since a Republican won this state, but we're going to win the state. I think we're going to win the state easily. You got to see the people all the way in from the airport. That was a long drive, by the way, 35 minutes. That was a long drive, but all the way in, we had people and they were waving, and I didn't see any negative hand gesture. Right? No, I think we're going to do great here. We're here for a number of reasons, but we're here because we really think we're going to turn this state and make it a Republican state. Yesterday marked the beginning of the Hispanic Heritage Month. Who's Hispanic here? Latinos for Trump. Thank you. Incredible people. But we have much to celebrate. Unbelievable when you think the unemployment for Hispanic Americans is right now at the lowest level ever recorded in the history of our country. Hispanic American poverty reached a brand new all-time low in history. And after years of stagnation that you know very well, wages for Hispanic Americans are rising really fast, up nearly 8% since my election. Those are unheard of numbers. They're unheard of. And median income, think of that, median income for Hispanic Americans surpassed $50,000 for the first time ever. That's your median. That's not bad. That means you're wealthy. And you're getting wealthier fast. And I just want to tell you, it's an honor. But, you know, when I'm on the debate stage, debating one of these far-left radical Democrats, whoever it may be, and they start telling you what they're going to do for you, and you say, but we have the best numbers, every category that we've ever had, Hispanic Americans, excuse me, New Mexico as a whole, we have the best numbers. African Americans, the best numbers that we've ever had in the history of our country. Asian Americans, the best numbers that we've ever had in history. Women, the best numbers that we've had in 71 years. We're working night and day to deliver a future of limitless opportunity for our nation's Hispanic American citizens, including millions and millions of extraordinary Mexican Americans who enrich our society, strengthen our country, serve in our military, and contribute immensely to our shared American family. And I want to just tell you that Mexico is doing a great job for us on the border, and I want to thank the President of Mexico. You know, it's very interesting. I hear everybody screaming, well, you know, we're building the wall, and it's going up, and it's going up fast. And if you think that's easy, with the Democrats who control the House, we have to take it back. But if you think it's easy, but we're building a lot of wall, we'll have almost 500 miles of wall built by the end of next year, and it's making a big difference. 500 miles. But you know, we won a big case 2 months ago in the Supreme Court that allowed us to do what we're doing. This has been, I'll tell you what, ready? Another president would have given up a long time ago. We don't give up. So we're building the wall. The Army Corps of Engineers, we're doing a beautiful job. It's a great structure. It's a great structure. You're going to have to really want to get over that wall to do it. But you know, it was very interesting because not too long ago, I saw where the Hispanic American, the Hispanics were up with me in a poll, 17%. And everyone said, how is that? How is that? How is that? 17%. Up by 70%. I won't even tell you what the final number was because they won't believe it. But you're going to see what the final number. But you know why? Because the Hispanic Americans, they understand they don't want criminals coming across the border. They don't want people taking their jobs. They want to have that security, and they want the wall. They want the wall. And we have a man in the audience who is, I think, the best dressed man in this entire place, including me, right here. Look at him. Come here. Look at him. Look at this guy. And he's been to a couple of rallies, too, haven't you, huh? We have some people, a group of people the other day. You know, we had a victory in North Carolina that was unbelievable, 2 of them. One of them, it was going to be very, very close. Here's another one of my friends. Thank you. I like that beautiful red tie you're wearing. But we had a victory, 2 victories, North Carolina, where one was 17 points down 3 weeks ago. We got involved. We started sending out lots of different social media messages. We did a couple of little robocalls, but the big thing, we did a speech the night before. The turnout was beyond belief. And instead of being down by 17 points, he easily won the election, 4,000 or 5,000 votes. Dan, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan Bishop. And Greg Murphy was up a couple of points, and he ended up winning. I don't know. I'd ask the media, but they won't give me. How many? What did he get? You know, like 20, 21? He won by a lot. He won by a lot. I'd ask them, but we're not going to get a straight answer. They were not happy. They were not happy. I'll tell you, Tuesday night, the fake news was not happy. You know, they had their studios all built. CNN had their A-list talent. They don't have A-list talent, but they had the best they could have. And they were all set. This was going to be the end of Trump because this man was going to lose, but he turned out to be tough and smart. And in all fairness, I helped a lot too. And toward the end of the night, they started dismantling that studio. Probably would have been there for 4 weeks. This is the end. But we had 2 great victories, congressional victories, on Tuesday night, and it was something. The one gentleman won by a number that nobody thought even possible so much, and the other won a race that he was way, way, way back. In fact, I shouldn't tell you this, but my geniuses, my people, some of those people standing right there, right there. Some of them right there. They said, sir, don't get involved in that race, sir. You can't come back from 17 points, sir. It's too much. I said, but you know, I really like the guy. I think he's great. Let's give it a shot. They say, sir, if you lose, they will never, ever, it'll be much worse. I said, let me tell you, I know them very well. Whether I help him or don't help him, it's going to be the same. It's going to be a disaster. So let's help him. And we campaigned and we worked hard, right? They said, don't do it, sir. Don't do it. Please don't do it, sir. It'll be very embarrassing. I said, no, I don't mind being embarrassed. I don't mind being embarrassed. We're also very proud that unemployment among Native Americans has reached the lowest rate in nearly 2 decades. And we're building an amazing future for citizens of every background, race, religion, color, and creed. And that's what we have. That's what we have. Race, religion, color, and creed. But the radical left Democrats want to demolish everything that we've gained. They want to raise your taxes. They want to bury you in regulation. They want to take away your health insurance, 180 million Americans. They want to erase American history, crush religious liberty, indoctrinate our students with left-wing ideology. And left-wing Democrats want to confiscate your guns and eliminate your God-given right to self-defense. You know that. As your president, I will never allow them to take away your liberty, your dignity, your Social Security. And I will never, ever allow them to take away your sacred right to keep and bear arms. The left tries to threaten, bully, intimidate Americans into submission. They use Democrat prosecutors and phony congressional committees whenever they can. They'll do whatever they can to demean you, to libel you. They try to blacklist, coerce, cancel, or destroy anyone who gets in their way. Look at what they're doing today to Justice Kavanaugh. Look at what they're doing. Did you see the New York Times? Did you see what they're doing? Did you see what Democrats? They're calling for his resignation. They're calling for his impeachment. And the woman involved said she didn't know anything. She doesn't, but they still. So the New York Times had to put out a major apology. And they had to change their story. The woman said, I don't remember that. Okay, Blake? And they still want him to be impeached. And I just put out a statement, and he's a great man, by the way, great talent, a great, brilliant man, Brett Kavanaugh. And I just put out a statement on social media that said, I don't think they'll do it, but they should, for the good of the nation. I call for the resignation of everybody at the New York Times involved in the Kavanaugh smear story. And while you're at it, the Russian witch hunt hoax, which is just as phony a story. They've taken the old gray lady. Do you know the New York Times? For years, the old gray lady, so prestigious. They've taken the old great lady and broken her down, destroyed her virtue, and ruined her reputation. She can never recover and will never return to greatness under current management. The Times is dead. Long live the New York Times. Long live the New York Times. And I do want it to live, but they have to change their ways. Think of it. They wrote a story about somebody that said, she doesn't remember this. Can you even believe it? And yet, all of these radical left crazies on Judiciary Committee and all of these committees that are set up to hurt the country, with all that we have going, with Saudi Arabia, with Iran, with China, trade deal, with Russia, with North Korea, with all that we have going. Look at the cards that we've been dealt. Lucky we won the election in 2016, believe me. with all that we have going, they say, let's impeach Justice Kavanaugh, one of the smartest, most brilliant students, top at Yale, incredible life, incredible family. Let's impeach him. It's a made-up story. Let's impeach President Trump. Think of that. The Mueller report came out. Think of this. This crazy Mueller report comes out. 18 Trump haters, liberal Democrats, some worked for Hillary Clinton. They found nothing. Now think of it. After 2 years, they found nothing. They spent $40 million. There's not a person in the room that I couldn't find something on with that. They spent, think of it, they found nothing. No collusion, no obstruction, no nothing. To stop the far left's campaign of destruction, you must vote Republican, and you're going to get the chance very soon. We're joined tonight by many terrific Republican leaders, and somebody that's done an incredible job. She ran Michigan for me, and as you know, for the presidential races, Michigan hadn't been won in decades, and she kept saying, "Could you come back, sir?" I didn't know who she was. I said, "Who the heck is the woman in Michigan that keeps asking?" She said, "Sir, if you keep coming back, you're going to win Michigan. Hasn't been won in decades." And I won Michigan. Remember that great night? November. That great night. Donald Trump has won the great state of Michigan, and they were going crazy on television. That was not a good night for certain people. Remember the couple of people that were crying? I guess they don't like a strong military. They don't like cutting regulations. They don't like low taxes. They don't like right to try, right to try. All these things we've done. For the vets, we got choice. We got choice for the vets. Choice. Everybody said it was impossible. We've rebuilt our military. I told the story for the first time today. A general came into my office, and my first few weeks, you remember, it was a little dangerous out there. President Obama left us with a few beauties, right? And I said to this general, "You better be prepared, because this is looking like it could really be conflict." And he looked at me and he goes, "Sir, we have very little ammunition." I said, "Say it again." And I want to tell you, the words "very little" he didn't use, because it was less than that. And I said, "I never want to see a president in a position like that, where we may have conflict, and a general looks at him and said, 'We have very little / no ammunition.' I never want a president of the United States to be in that position." And since then, 3 years, $700 billion we've spent, then $716 billion, and now $738 billion. And our military is by far the greatest in the world. There's nobody that even comes close. So anyway, no president should ever be put in that position. And by the way, no president should ever have to go through what I've gone through either. That should never happen. What happened is a disgrace to our country. No president should ever have to go through it. And I'll tell you what, 99% of them would never have been able to take it. They wouldn't have been able to take it. But we won the great state of Michigan, and now we're doing really well because we've moved a lot of car companies. I tell Japan, sorry, big deficits with all these countries. We're changing it. But You got to get car companies. We're building car companies now in Michigan. They're not going to be leaving for lots of other countries, including China, including Mexico. They're going to stay home, and they're going to pay you a lot of money, and everybody's going to be happy. But Michigan's doing great. And Ronna McDaniel was the Republican Party chair of Michigan. So when we won the election, I said, let's get the woman from Michigan to run the RNC. And she has done an incredible job. Thank you, Ronna. A great gentleman who loves the Republican Party, co-chairman Tommy Hicks. Tommy, what a job. New Mexico Republican Party chairman Steve Pierce. My friend and a really talented guy, he just gets the hell knocked out of him all the time. Brad Parscale, what a job he's doing. Brad, great job, Brad. Great job. And another great friend of mine, somebody that was on CNN and they didn't like him because he was too positive on Trump. Can you believe it? He happens to be Hispanic. He happens to be Hispanic, but I've never quite figured it out because he looks more like a wasp than I do. So I haven't figured that one out. But I'll tell you what, there is nobody that loves this country more or Hispanic more than Steve Cortez. Steve. Thank you, Steve. Nobody loves the Hispanics more. What do you like more, the country or the Hispanics? He says, the country, I don't know. I may have to go for the Hispanics, to be honest with you. We got a lot of Hispanics. We love our Hispanics. Get out and vote. You know, just before the last election, the Cubans from Miami, where we got a tremendous percentage of the vote, close to 90%, they gave me the Bay of Pigs Award. Can you imagine, right? The Bay of Pigs Award. And the Venezuelans and the Cubans are all for Trump. I will tell you that. They're all for Trump. They like what we're doing. With the help of, and Steve, I want to thank you very much, by the way. And you were incredible on CNN, and now you'll get a real job, okay? Steve, that audience wasn't big enough for you. Their ratings aren't good. With the help of everyone here tonight, we're taking power out of Washington and giving it back to the great people of our country and to the people of New Mexico. We've cut a record number of job-killing regulations, saving the average American household $3,000. We passed the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history. And what that means is a typical family of four in New Mexico making $75,000 has seen their tax bill reduced by more than $2,000. And it's one of the reasons that as the world is not doing great, you look at Europe and you look at Asia, and China is not doing too well. Must be honest with you. Worst year in 57 years, I'd say that's not good. But I hope they still like me. And we've taken in tens of billions of dollars worth of tariffs. And we've given those tariffs, and by the way, China's eating the tariffs. They're devaluing their currency. The prices are very similar. They're eating the tariffs. And out of the tens of billions, we gave our great farmers because they were targeted by China. Because China knows, very smart, that the farmers love Trump, and Trump loves the farmers. I said to our Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, I said, Sonny, how much did the farmers get hit by China targeting them and pulling back and doing all sorts of things? He said $16 billion. I said, that's okay. We'll take $16 billion out of a much, much, much larger number. We're going to give it to the farmers so that they're even. And I tell you, the farmers do love Trump. They do love Trump. And to keep New Mexico's farms, ranches, and small businesses in the family, we eliminated the unfair estate tax or death tax so that you can now give your farm or your ranch to your children. Now, if you don't like your children, don't do it. But when it's your time to kick the bucket, you worked hard, you have great kids, you love your kids, they're taking care of you, you really love them, it's a great thing. If you don't love them, don't even listen to the last line because it won't matter. Don't leave it to them. If they're not good, leave it to charity, leave it to something else, don't give it. I know a guy can't stand his children. They're horrible, horrible human beings. They're a little older now, but they're horrible human beings. He wants to leave his wealth. I said, why would you leave them? They don't even like you. But on the assumption that you love your children, you'll be able to use small farms and your ranches and things. You'll be able to leave them to your children. Your children won't have to go out and borrow a fortune to pay tax. They won't be losing it to the banks 5 years later. We got rid of it. That's a big deal. Thank you. Thank you. Our shared Republican agenda is pro-worker, pro-jobs, pro-family, pro-growth, and 100% pro-American. For many decades, our leaders put global interests and special interests ahead of your interests. You know that. In New Mexico, you know exactly what I'm talking about. People came in, they took your jobs, they had no border, they had no border control. Look at what's going on now, how we're doing. I mean, honestly, I mentioned the president of Mexico. We have today 27,000 Mexican soldiers on the border protecting our country, and I'll take it. Because our laws are so bad, they're so pathetic. And the Democrats could change these laws. They could change them so quickly. We could change them all in less than an hour. We could, whether it's asylum, whether it's any of the laws, we have so many of them that are so bad. How they got that, it took years and years to end up. But we have the Mexican soldiers out there. You see them, and they're stopping people. The numbers are plummeting down. So I just want to thank all of the representatives of Mexico. Amazing. But we got to get rid of the loopholes. You know, the word is loopholes. And the Democrats could do it fast, but in the meantime, we're doing really well. And as the wall goes up, it becomes less and less of a problem. Because as the wall gets up, people aren't getting through. I mean, you got to be a world-class pole vaulter or a world-class Mount Everest-type climber. There's not too many around like that. It's really doing the trick. The failed liberal establishment in Washington squandered your tax dollars, shipped away your jobs, sacrificed your sovereignty, and bogged us down in one foreign war or debacle, call it whatever you want, after another. And that's changing also. You see what's happening. And when these rich countries think we're going to pay for their military every year, billions and billions and billions, and they're rich and they take our business and we're supposed to, on top of everything else, I could tell you stories, but I'm going to save them for the campaign. You know, because to be honest, this is a little earlier than the campaign. Wait till this campaign starts. You know, like I was telling Brad and I was telling a few of the folks, one thing I don't want to do, Michael back there, Michael, hello, Mike, what a job he's done. But I'm telling them, I don't want to do this too early. I don't want to do it. You know, the Pocahontas thing, I did that, it was before its time. Right? It was before its time. Too early. 1024th. That means I have more Indian blood than she does, and I have none, unfortunately. I'd like to say I have a lot. That would get me another 4%, maybe another 10%. But I was early with her, and frankly, oh, it's coming back. Don't worry about it. But those days are over. Under this administration, we are finally putting America first. Putting it first. We're reversing decades of calamitous trade policies that ravished our industries and devastated communities all across our land. You see the factories, empty buildings, empty hulks. Some have been demolished. Some have been reconverted into senior citizen housing. But all those jobs are gone, and we're bringing them back. They're coming back like almost never before. Probably I can say they're coming back like never before. People are coming back now because they want to be where the action is, and this is the country where they have the security and where they do have the action. In my first week in office, I proudly withdrew from the last administration's job-destroying and this was a catastrophe. You know, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP. This would have destroyed the automobile business in our country. Now, New Mexico, you know that you were totally devastated by another disaster known as NAFTA. Your state lost 33% of its manufacturing jobs after NAFTA was signed. This was one of the great catastrophes. And now we're replacing NAFTA with the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, USMCA. Think of the song YMCA, YMCA. Think of the song, USMCA. That's U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. And it's drawing strong bipartisan support from all across your state and all across the country. It's amazing. I want to just, the Donana County Board of Commissioners, all Democrats, just unanimously endorsed the USMCA and urged Congress to pass it immediately. Thank you very much, Commissioners. All Democrats. Hopefully they'll put it up for a vote. Nancy Pelosi, they put it up for a vote. It's going to be very popular. The Republicans love it, and the Democrats love it, and frankly, labor loves it, unions love it, farmers love it, and everybody wants it. Your farmers, your ranchers, everybody wants it. It's an incredible agreement, and Mexico's already passed it, and Canada's ready to pass it as soon as we do. See, they don't maybe trust us, that's why. I say, why aren't you passing it now? They say, oh, we'll pass it. They're going to pass it as soon as we do. Past leaders invited China to freely loot and pillage the United States economy. China's been taking out from $300 billion to $500 billion a year. Billion, not million, billion. Think of what $500 billion is. We've rebuilt China. But now it's a different ballgame. Somebody had to do something with China. President Obama should have done it. President Bush should have done it. President Clinton should have done it. They all should have done it. Frankly, they all should have done a lot of things that we're doing right now. So if you look at it, nobody did it, so I'm doing it, and that's what's going to happen, and we're doing well. So now we're taking in billions and billions of dollars from China, when in the past we never got 10 cents. We never got money. We never got anything. You know, we got unemployment and losses and some cheap pencils. More than we needed. You could do with one less pencil. Following decades of outsourcing and offshoring, our jobs and factories are coming back home where they belong. If foreign companies do not want to pay our tariffs, there is one very simple solution. Come and make your product in America. Come and make your product in New Mexico. And by the way, I'm just seeing this great group of people, the spirit. Is there any place in the world that's more fun or more exciting than a Trump rally? Really? Is there any? And when you think about it, it's not about fun. It's about achievement, because what we've achieved in the last almost 3 years is unparalleled. There's never been an administration that in the first 2.5 years has done what we've been able to do or achieve. In a few short weeks, we'll be up to 180. Sounds impossible. Federal judges, including Court of Appeals judges. Because President Obama did us a great favor when I came in. I said, I assume I have no judges to appoint. No, sir, you have 138 judges. 138! Didn't put them up, couldn't get them approved. I don't know what happened. But we started off with 138. Now we're up to 180. I just signed my 150th federal judge and Court of Appeals judge. And we already have 2 great Supreme Court justices, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. Great men. So think of that. You know, you come in, and I've always heard the most important thing a president does. I disagree with this, by the way, but that's okay. I disagree with a lot of things. Because I think the most important thing is our military and protecting our country, right? But if you listen to the so-called Washington elite, now why are they elite? We do better than they do. We're smarter than them. We make more money. We have better houses. We have better everything. And then they say the elite. That means you're the super elite. I've always taken offense when somebody said, President Trump is tired of listening to the elite. I said, no, I'm more elite than them. I mean, if we go by the old standards, are better houses, better schools, made much more money, lived better, had everything going, and then I decide to run for president. And I'll be honest, what we have to put up with these people and others it's incredible, but it's the greatest single decision I've ever made, because our country is turning around so rapidly. I could not be happier, despite what they put us all through. Could not be happier. After years of building up other countries, we're finally building up our country. Isn't that nice? It's time to finally take care of our own. And we're also aggressively combating the opioid epidemic, which is horrible. And as a result of our nonstop efforts and billions of dollars invested, last year we saw the first nationwide decline in drug overdose deaths, and it was a very big decline in nearly 3 decades, 30 years. And at the center of America's drug crisis, this is where the Hispanics know it better than anybody. People said, oh, the Hispanics won't like a wall. I said, I think they're going to love it. They won't like border security. I think they're going to love it. You know why? Because you understand it better than other people. But at the whole center of this crisis is the drugs that are pouring in, and you understand that when other people don't understand it. The border crisis. Everyday dangers, criminal cartels smuggle vast quantities of lethal narcotics across your southern border, including heroin, meth, cocaine, and fentanyl. And we're stopping them now. You see the kind of numbers. We're getting millions and millions and millions of dollars worth. We've had some shipments where it could kill half of the country. Some of the fentanyl and some of the bad, really bad stuff, if it were distributed, could actually has the power to kill half of the country. This is like a warlike situation. That's why you're liking Trump, because you're not going to let that happen. If you want to stop the drug smugglers and the human traffickers, how about the human traffic? And they traffic, really, for the most part, in women. That's what they traffic in. It's women. They're not trafficking in men. They capture women and they bring them across the open borders, and they don't go through ports of entry where you have guards standing there with guns and rifles and everything else. They go out into the desert areas and they hang a left or they hang a right and they come in. But now when you have a wall, they can't do that, right? You can't do that. And so many of these Democrats that are against the wall, it's common sense. Look, you know what I saw the other day? Where the Democrats are having their convention, their national convention. They just gave out a tremendous contract. You know what it's for? They're building a big wall around the building. They're building a big wall. A massive wall. We should tell them, open borders, let anybody come in. And a few years ago, almost every one of these, they're on tape. That's the problem with politics. 3 years ago, they could say, look, I saw Senator Schumer. I saw Nancy Pelosi. I saw all of them. They said, no, we need a wall. We must have a wall. We must have President Obama. We must have a wall. We must stop people from coming into our country. Illegally, we have to stop it. We need a wall. Now, a few years later, they don't want a wall. You know why? Because anything I want, they want to do the opposite, and that's okay. That's the only reason. But if you want to stop the drug smugglers, human traffickers, and vicious MS-3 gang members, which we're taking out every year by the thousands and getting them the hell out of our country because of ICE. And if you want to stop all these people from threatening our communities and poisoning our youth, you know, it's poisoning our youth. That's what it is. It's nothing other than that. It's very simple. They're poisoning our youth. You have only one choice. You must elect Republicans. And to be honest with you, you've got to elect President Trump. We need 4 more years. President Trump. How about these phony Democrats? They started with Russia, Russia, Russia. That turned out to be a fraud. That turned out to be a fraud. Then they went to race. Do you believe that one, race? I'm the least racist person in this room. Then they went to recession. There's going to be a recession. Oh, please let there be a recession, please. Because we have a better chance of defeating him if there's a recession. And unfortunately, the stock market's only a few points from its all-time high, which we've broken on, I think it's well over 100 times. We broke the all-time record. And now they have a new one. That I'm enriching myself. Let me tell you, by doing this and taking this particular job, which I love, it will cost me billions and billions of dollars. But if somebody from the Middle East that I never saw before comes in and stays at one of my hotels for an evening and pays $439, emoluments. Nobody ever heard the word emollient before. Emolument. Nobody ever heard that word. Emolument. He's enriching himself. If somebody buys a tank of gas in Scotland from an airport that I don't own, and they happen to go to a hotel, he's enriching himself. Like 20 people. I'm going to lose billions of dollars, and that's okay. I expected to do that when I did it. I didn't know what would happen if I lost. Can you imagine? Supposing I lost, and we would have had the same basic rhetoric. I mean, winning was great. Supposing, I'm doing all the things, I'm telling you all the same sort of things. Supposing I didn't make it, I'd have to go around, I would have lost and lost billions. Then I would have been really unhappy. But I'll tell you what, I expected that when I did this, in terms of opportunity, in terms of certain places, they can never do as well when you have this kind of rhetoric. They can never do. So I'll lose billions of dollars, always expected. They say I enrich myself because somebody's going to stay at my hotel. It doesn't work that way, folks, and these are very, very dishonest people, and they know it. So they've given up on every other hope, but it doesn't work that way. You know it, too. You get it. The Democrat agenda of open borders places vast burdens on your communities and your schools and your hospitals and public safety, all at the expense of hardworking New Mexico families and throughout our country. Sheriffs and commissioners from 9 Mexico counties recently sent a letter to your state's congressional delegation begging them to vote for strong border security. They want in New Mexico. They don't want open borders. They don't want criminals pouring into your communities and doing what they do, and we won't even talk about that. They want strong, these are people that are with you, in many cases Democrats. They write letters, we need strong border security. In San Diego, California is very difficult, always complaining, not doing great. But they wanted a wall in San Diego. Good mayor in San Diego, by the way. They wanted a wall. And I said, you know what, let's build it someplace else, because California, once we build it, they'll complain. But then I said, the people are pouring in. They needed it. They're pouring into San Diego, like going all over the place. And people that had houses, they didn't like people running over their gardens all day long, coming in from the other side. So we put up a wall, and I thought everybody would be happy. As soon as it was finished, the day it was finished, I was notified, we didn't want the wall. Why did you do the wall? And I will tell you, in other words, it's all a game. I'd love to take the sucker down and move it right now to New Mexico. And if I did that, they'd go crazy and they'd say, please, sir, don't do that. Please, please. The same people that are saying, we don't want a wall. Why did you put up a wall? And I knew that was going to happen. I told my people that was going to happen. But they're very happy with their wall. Most of them won't say it. They love it. It stopped. It only stopped 99.9% of the people coming in. And the only reason I'm not moving it to New Mexico is that it would cost more money to move it than to build you a brand new, beautiful wall. So I'll give you a brand new wall. It's true. I actually priced it out. It's true. These contractors all my life I've been dealing, they can find a way to make money. Sure, it'll cost more money to move the wall than to build a new one. They have it. But the commission, your commissioners wrote, I quote, "Our communities do not have the resources nor the budgets to handle the massive influx of immigrants we are experiencing." This is your commissioners writing to us in Washington. "Our scarce resources are in danger of being rapidly depleted to the point that we will be unable to effectively care for our own citizens, you, and our existing homeless populations, many of whom are American veterans," right? So Democrats put illegal aliens before American citizens. Republicans believe that we must take care of our own citizens first. I'm sorry. That includes millions of hardworking lawful immigrants who waited in line, followed the rules, and came into our country legally. And among those hardest hit by illegal immigration are Hispanic Americans who obey our laws, pay their taxes, contribute to our communities, and play by the rules. And they're the ones that want to see something done. And we are doing it at a level that nobody else would be capable of doing it. Whether you're a first generation or a 10th generation, every American citizen deserves a government that defends your jobs, your safety, your family, and is always loyal to you. Your politicians have not been loyal to you. They've been loyal to themselves. The Democrats are also trying to turn every city in America into a sanctuary for criminal aliens. And that's one of the very good reasons we won on Tuesday night in North Carolina, because they let people out of their sanctuary city. And what those people did, I will not tell you tonight, but it wasn't good. It's one of the reasons we had big victories, 2 of them, in North Carolina, sanctuary cities. And plenty of people, even in California where they have sanctuary cities, they don't want sanctuary cities. The politicians do, but they don't want them. Right here in New Mexico, Democrats are trying to turn you into a total sanctuary state. Creating a safe harbor for dangerous criminal aliens and gang members that sanctuary policies release from jail. Now think of it. They want to make your whole state a sanctuary state. So when MS-13 comes in, and I told you before, we take them out by the thousands, and they're tough. They're tough. But our ICE folks are even tougher. There's nobody tougher. But you're, I would say, naive, but maybe it's much worse than that. They're naive, these politicians. The naive politicians, they don't want ICE to come in. They don't want to take these criminals out. And if you don't take them out and they're in New Mexico, I got to tell you something, folks. You got problems. You got problems. You got big problems. Republicans believe our cities should be sanctuaries for law-abiding Americans, not for criminal aliens. And Republicans will always support the heroes of ICE, Border Patrol, and our great law enforcement. The Democrat Party, do you notice I always say the Democrat Party? You know, Before I came, they were all calling Democratic because it sounds better, right? It does. It's much nicer. The Democratic Party is much nicer than the Democrat Party. But their name is the Democrat Party. And I'm not looking for them to sound nice. I want to give their name. So I always say the Democrat Party, but that's their name, the Democrat Party. Frankly, they should probably change it because it does, and then I'd call them the Democratic Party. But the Democrat Party has never been farther outside the mainstream. Every major, that's a nasty fly. I don't like those suckers. I don't know about you in New Mexico, but I'm not into flies or mosquitoes. I don't like snakes too much. We have plenty of them in New York and Washington, a different variety. I don't like snakes either. We got a lot of snakes in Washington, D.C. We got a lot of snakes in New York. I don't like either kind of snake. I think I like the kind on the ground better than the ones we have in Washington. Every major Democrat running for president supports a massive government takeover of health care that would destroy Medicare as we know it today. My administration will protect Medicare and defend your right to choose the plan and the doctor that is best for you. And we will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. The Republicans will always do that. Our ambitious campaign to reduce the price of prescription drugs has produced the largest decline in drug prices in more than 50 years. You don't hear this because the fake news doesn't want to write about it. You know, sometimes I'll have a news conference about something that's so good. And I'll say, you know, I call my wife, First Lady, First Lady. People love our First Lady. I'll say, when you see television tonight, we did something that was so great, whatever it may be. We did a lot of things. We did something so great, and it won't be on. But if there's something that's just slightly negative, or even if it's good that they can turn negative, that's what they like best. Take something good and turn it negative. It's breaking. We have breaking news. We have breaking news. Ah, these are phony people, but that's okay. You know, when you think of it, I'm president, and they're not. Crazy. It's crazy. You know, sometimes I'll be in the Oval Office, and I'll be with my people. We have great people. And I'll say, you know, and there's great calm in the Oval Office. You don't like to hear about it because you don't hear about it too much. That's not what they, but we have great calm, considering it's pretty wild stuff going on in the world, right? But I'll be saying, you know, they don't treat us right. They don't treat us right. It's not fair. It's not this. And then I'll just sit back. I'll say, but we're in the Oval Office and they're not. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And when you have the Democrat Party and the press, the media, the lamestream media, the fake news, and they're partners. They are partners, okay? Remember the word manufactured? They used the word manufactured on something. Never been used for that thing. And every news goes, the manufactured crisis started. The next one, this crisis was manufactured. Every one of them used the word manufactured. They know what I'm talking about. Now that's called collusion, folks. That's real collusion. No, you have that. And so you have the Democrats, you have the media, they're partners. Then you have the deep state. We're getting rid of a lot of them. I'll tell you, we're finding them left and right. Boom. You take a look at what, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, you take a look at what we're doing with all of the things. I'm not going to get into detail, but you know what I'm talking about. Clean the swamp. That's the ultimate cleaning of the swamp. And then I hate to say this, but we have some Republicans, they're not good. You call them a rhino, they're rhinos. Their rhinos are worse. And some of them are worse than the Obama people, right? They're worse than the Obama people. They're worse than the Clinton people. But there aren't too many of them left. They're pretty much on respirators. They're gasping. They're gasping for air. But we do have some bad people that you wouldn't believe. I didn't hear you. What did you say? What? I didn't hear that. Virtually every top Democrat also now supports late-term abortion, ripping babies straight from the mother's womb, right up until the moment of birth. And that's why I've asked Congress to prohibit extreme late-term abortion, because Republicans believe that every child is a sacred gift from God. Right? I see it. Just like Mom, I see it. Democrats are now the party of high taxes, high crime, open borders, late-term abortion, and socialism. The Republican Party is the party of the American worker, the American family, and it is the party of the American dream. We've achieved record funding for the U.S. military. All of that money, trillions and trillions of dollars spent, all produced right here in the good old USA. And I have to tell you, New Mexico, I know you're going to like this, a lot of those trillions, because, you know, when you do the 716 and the 730 and the 700 billion, all of a sudden you're in trillions, and I can save a lot of lines when I just say trillions. A lot of that money is going to be spent in a state-of-the-art military equipment that's being used at Holloman Air Force Base, White Sands Missile Range, Kirtland Air Force Base, and many other vital New Mexico military installations that are going up as we speak. That's also jobs, but more importantly than even jobs, incredible what you've done for the military in New Mexico is incredible, and we've remembered, but we're pouring a lot of money into New Mexico, and that means a lot of good things. And we're investing in our nation's nuclear security, including right here in New Mexico, and Sandia National Laboratories and Los Alamos National Laboratory. To protect America's security, I withdrew the United States from the horrible one-sided Iran nuclear deal. It was no good, and we imposed the toughest ever sanctions on the Iranian regime. Watch how that works out, folks. It's going to be very good. I recognized Israel's true capital and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. And don't forget what I did for Israel with respect to Golan Heights. Don't forget, right? For years you watched as your politicians apologize for America. Now you have a president who is standing up for America, and we are standing up for New Mexico. And you must never forget, get out there and vote and get ready and get everybody. We need it because we're fighting a lot of forces, including Facebook, I saw, and Google, I saw. Did you see Google? He said, I may have lost 2 million to 10 million votes, according to this character that worked at Google, right? And we still won. How the hell did we win? Everybody was against us. How did we win? How did we win? This is a Google executive. From 2 million to 10.5 million votes. And we won. I don't know. We must be doing. I will say this. That happened, and people came from the valleys. They came from everywhere. They came from places that nobody's ever talked about before. And it was the forgotten men and women. But the truth is, I know these men and women, and they're the most incredible men and women in this country. They really are. They just never had anybody they really wanted to vote for, or at least for a long time. They didn't want to get out there. They said, oh boy, is this the best they can do? I mean, in all fairness, I don't want to go too early here. Look at the field. Did you watch the debate the other day? We've got almost 350 million people. I'll take it. That's the best they can do. We'll see. We'll see. You never want to get too cocky. Somebody said, in the great state of Texas, Donald Trump is down 2 points to Buttigieg. Buttigieg! They're phony polls. You know they have phony polls. I told the story the other night. For 6 months, I was hearing that I'm going to lose the state of Texas, and friends of mine from Texas that look just like these guys. Wait. See the two guys with a hat? They might even be better looking. They look just like, and they're on to say, I don't know about you, but I know a lot about Texas. And Donald Trump is not going to be losing the state of Texas. Remember that? See, they don't say it's in play. They're too smart. They say Texas is in play. And Utah, they said, was in play. All these are in play. In play means we could lose them, right? It's a better term, though, because this way they can't get skunked, but they can get skunked with me. So what happens is on that beautiful election night, was that one of the greatest, coolest nights ever? Well, you know, they can never call a victory unless you absolutely have it. And unless you're winning by a lot. This is 6 months. Texas is in play. You know, he could lose Texas. I keep saying, I go to a stadium, we sell out to thousands of people, lines that are miles long. I mean, and every friend of mine says you're going to win by a lot. So they announce 8 o'clock, whatever time. The polls in Texas are closed. Donald Trump has won the state of Texas. The polls in Utah are closed. Donald Trump has won the state of Utah. They don't even take a breath. Now, if it's closed, like it's in play, you know, you wait 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to see what it is. But they don't even take a breath because they're called suppression polls. And they're no different than all of the dishonest reporting that you people see. They're no different. They're suppression polls. And I'll tell you what, we're going to win the state of New Mexico, and I'll be so surprised if we win. I'll be so surprised. Now, we're going to win New Mexico. You know, when I came here during the last election, came here little, because I was told very hard to win, and I came here little, but I saw great spirit. But I didn't really have a track record because, you know, I never did this stuff before. So I said I was going to cut your taxes, I did. I said I was going to cut your regulations, I did, more than any president in history, and they've been there for many years. I've been there for 2 of them. And I think the regulation cutting, like the waters of the U.S., that was another beauty where you couldn't build a house, you couldn't farm your land. Now, what we've done on regulations is incredible. I've rebuilt our military. I've taken care of our vets. Look how happy our vets are with choice. Instead of waiting for 2 months to see a doctor, or 2 weeks, or 3 days, they now go out. If there's a wait, they go out, they get a private doctor. They get taken care of. We pay the bill. And for the first time, they've tried to get that for 45 years. They haven't been able to get it, but I'm good at getting things. You must never forget, the 2020 election is about one thing. What's it about? It's about you. It is. It's about you. It's about you. You know, I'm doing a good job as your messenger, but basically I'm a messenger. I know what you want. I understand it. It's about your family. It's about your future. And it's about the fate of your country, for your children, for everybody. It's about the fate of your country. It's about the future of our great country. No matter what label they use, a vote for any Democrat in 2020 is a vote for the rise of radical socialism and the destruction of the American dream. That's what it's about. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela, 15 years ago, was one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and today, very sad. No food, no water, no nothing. Socialism. We begin this campaign with the best record, the best results, the best agenda, and the only positive vision for America. And it's not just a little bit positive. Our country is going to be greater than it ever was. That's where we're headed. Together, we will help millions more citizens know the dignity of work, the pride of a paycheck, and the satisfaction of a job really well done. With your help, we will elect a Republican Congress to create a safe, modern, fair, and very lawful system of immigration. And we're going to have a lot done anyway. We already do have a lot done. You saw the figures last week. But we're doing it the hard way. It would be so much easier with a little stroke of the pen. We will enact trade deals that ensure more products are proudly stamped with those beautiful, beautiful words, that incredible phrase, made in the USA. We will achieve new breakthroughs in science and medicine, finding new cures for childhood cancer, and ending the AIDS epidemic in America within 10 years. And we've already started that program. It will happen. We have the medicine. Nobody even knew that. The AIDS epidemic in this country will be gone within 10 years. We've already started the process. It's been funded. It's been funded. Who would have thought that? Honestly, when I ran, I didn't know that. We have now the technology, and what they've done with respect to AIDS is incredible. What a terrible, terrible period of time the world went through. But we will have it ended within 10 years. We will defeat the effort to drive up the cost of houses, cars, health care, light bulbs, right? They took away our light bulb. I want an incandescent light. I want to look better, okay. I want to pay less money to look better. Does that make sense? You pay much less money and you look much better. And on top of that, with the new bulbs, if they break, it's considered a hazardous waste site. It's all gases inside. And you're supposed to bring it back to where you bought it in a sealed container. Give me a break. I asked the people, the professionals, well, what do people do when it breaks? Because they break all the time. What do? Nothing. They throw it away. So a lot of people didn't know. They didn't understand. You get a much better light at a much reduced cost, and it's much safer. Because when those other bulbs break, they really are dangerous. The gases come out, they're dangerous. These are little things that I have to explain, otherwise people will say, what the hell are you doing with light bulbs for? And we're trying to do the same thing with cars. Cars have so much junk on them now. To save a tiny little fraction of gasoline, they have so much junk that they're less safe. So what I want to do is the following. Under our rules and regulations, the cars are environmentally terrific, but they're safer and they're $3,500 less to buy. Right? And the reason they're safer is because they can be a little bit heavier. Makes sense, right? They can be a little bit heavier. I mean, they make them now like paper mache. Somebody touches them and the entire car collapses. When somebody hits me, I want to be in as close to an army tank as possible. No, they're made out of paper mache. They weigh about 3 pounds. And if you get hit by a bus, it's over. They say, what happened to that car? No, think of it. It's safer, and it's less expensive by $3,500 on average. And California wants you to do the other cars, and we don't. We're going to end up in a big litigation. And I'm fighting for you. Look. It's not the kind of thing most presidents would be fighting for because they say, yeah, let them pay more. Let it be unsafe. They listen to the environmentalists, and I'm an environmentalist. I believe in the environment. I want the cleanest water on the planet. I want the cleanest air. I want a lot of things. You know, right now we have the cleanest air that we've ever had in this country. But what are they going to do about China and India and Russia and other countries that are spewing stuff? What are we doing about them? We're going to keep our suit nice and clean, but you know, the universe is so big that when you talk about China, the USA, India, you talk about these different places where a lot of bad stuff comes out, right? It's so big that it's right next to each other. It's right next to each other. Does that make sense, right? It's right next to each other. So what are they going to do? We want to have the cleanest water and the cleanest air. We will defend privacy. We will defend free speech, free assembly, religious liberty, and we will always proudly defend your Second Amendment, and we're doing it now. And above all, we will never stop fighting for the values that bind us together as one America. We support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. We stand with our incredible heroes of law enforcement. We believe in the dignity of work and in the sanctity of life. We believe that mothers and fathers, not Washington bureaucrats, know best how to raise their strong, beautiful families in their loving and wonderful communities. We believe that children should be taught to love our country, honor our history, and always respect our great American flag. And we will always live by the words of our national motto: nobody will ever take it down. Nobody will ever take it down. We will never allow them to take it down. In God we trust. We stand on the shoulders of American patriots who built this country into the greatest nation ever to exist on the face of the earth, and we are going to be better than ever before, and it won't even be close, and we're right there. Our ancestors crossed the oceans, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, revolutionized industry, pioneered scientists, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, put a man on the moon, and built the most exceptional country in the history of the world. And every day of my presidency, we will never forget that we are Americans and the future belongs to us. The future belongs to each and every one of you. Right. With your help, your devotion, and your drive, gee, that's too bad. He did it right in the crescendo. How do you top that? I'm just ready, the big, beautiful crescendo, and this character's going back home. It's all right. It's two people tonight. Remember when they say massive protests at the Trump rally? Two people. With your help, your devotion, and your drive, we are going to keep on working, we are going to keep on fighting, and we are going to keep on winning, 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 win like never before. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. America is thriving like never before. And ladies and gentlemen of the great state of New Mexico, we love you. The best is yet to come. Best is yet to come. Thank you, New Mexico. And together, we will make America wealthy again. Very, very wealthy. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, New Mexico. Thank you. Thank you, New Mexico. Thank you. Thank you.